of the season, and that have not showed up in a long time for the Steelers.
Yeah, and offensive linemen, they need to get in a rhythm. You know, it was always interesting to me talking to an offensive lineman and having that debate, should we pass, should we run? And then we dive deeper into it and they're like, look, we can't just call it one time. We need to get into a rhythm. The more we run the ball, the better we get. We can wear on those defensive linemen. The Steelers' problem, B, you hit it on the head. It's just that. They will not, they won't commit to the run. They just won't do it. They're the only team in the NFL that's averaging less than 20 attempts a game, less than 70 rushing yards a game, less than 3 yards a carry. That is a problem. I don't know if that's Big Ben. Now, reports came out last week talking about, well, Big Ben is changing plays at the line of scrimmage. We're calling the runs, but he's changing them to pass. RPOs, he's doing what he wants to do. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's if the offensive line is truly banged up. I don't know what it is, but their problem starts up front with the run game. If they can get that run game going, Brian is right. It will open up everything in the passing game. This is coming from a wide receiver that average 170 targets a year. If I'm saying that we need to run the ball, then it's a big deal.
Yeah, the other big deal is that they were never nearly as good as their record suggests. And they have shown that since the second half against Tennessee, and that was in October. What's their great game since then? They looked great against Cleveland. They looked great to start the Tennessee game. And since then, they've looked dominant twice against Cincinnati and Jacksonville. That's it. This is a team whose offense all year has been mediocre at best. And once the defense went from the unquestioned best front seven in football down to just a very good defense due to injuries, they were ripe for the picking. It's why the Steelers' undefeated talk was always insanity. It's why the Big Ben MVP talk was always insanity. And I think Steelers fans knew it. Big Ben knows it. Big Ben, I'm going to read you 2 quotes from Big Ben at the press conference last week. Here's one when he was asked about miscommunication, play calls, or something else being the problem. Quote, "I'm just not very good." Next one, "If I don't play good enough, I need to hang it up." Signed, Ben Roethlisberger. Hey, Ben, right and right. Now, he's not going to hang it up. He's not going to retire. He's got a lot of money coming to him next year. He's absolutely going to keep playing. But we're like, oh, they need to run the ball more. They need to do this. Part of the reason they're not running the ball is because teams are not afraid of anything they do in the passing game. There is no intermediate passing for them. It's dinks and dunks wilds or it's deep shots down the sideline. So teams don't have to be afraid of the 15 to 20-yard completion to help open up some of the running game. Like the Steelers, they better win playoff games 17-13. Because that's the path. The path is not going to be this offense being something it hasn't been, if we're being honest, in 3 years.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing, Brian. I'm going to put myself on the Steelers, and I think that there should be an extra roster spot. They did expand the rosters a little bit. An extra roster spot, and your old buddy Kevin Wildes can join the roster. And then the post-game press conference, when all the real players have to give, we have to play better, we got to catch the ball. Old Kevin Wildes will come up there and just tell you the truth that nobody else wants to say, like, hey, it's our 3rd game in 12 days. We're a little bit tired. We got kind of stuck by the schedule, so we kind of, we're a little bit banged up. Now we're going to rest, and we're going to play the Bengals on Monday. We'll probably destroy them. And then everybody like, what? They're making excuses. And I'm like, no, that's the guy. That's Kevin Wildes. He doesn't even play. He just kind of comes up, and he puts on a Steelers hat, and he just says the things that nobody on the Steelers wants to say. So the question to you is this. Do you think that we are overestimating or underestimating this 3 games in 12 days thing?
No, it's huge. And not only the 3 games in 12 days is huge, but the way that the games have been shifted around. The NFL did not do the Steelers any favors at all, the way that the games have been shifted around because of this coronavirus. And, of course, playing 3 games in 12 days is huge for a football team, especially at the latter part of the season. December is a time where you should be cruising hopefully building for the playoffs. And at this point, they're trying to figure things out because they're tired. They played a lot of football here recently. I think once they get that break and then have the Bengals, it'll be a good situation for the Steelers.
Yeah, well, man, I don't know. They have real problems, Brian. I mean, there's one thing they can't fix, and they can't fix, those guys going down on the defensive side. Now, they'll get Joe Hayden back. They'll get Spillane back, in the next couple of weeks. But at the end of the day, there's some big gaps on that defensive line. You can't replace those guys. And also, you can't replace Bush. Offensively, I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not committing to the run, and you're not even good at running the ball. If you can't do that, you won't win games. So these are real problems for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, so let's talk about this from the Buffalo side. Josh Allen looked good last night. Not great, but certainly good enough. 2 scores and a pick and the win. Let's not count out the win. Bills are now 10-3. They open up a 2-game lead in the AFC East with 3 games to go. So, Nick, is it time to consider the Bills Super Bowl contenders after this win last night?
I love their roster. Brandon can talk about their coaching staff. I really like that as well. And if they had a quarterback that you knew what you were going to get from him week in, week out, hell, last night, half in, half out, then yeah, they would be. But you don't, so they're not. I cannot believe the audacity of Bills fans this morning. Do yourself a favor, and it's not going to be safe for work, so do this from home. But just do a Twitter search for my name and see the Bills fans' celebratory run in my mentions this morning, as if their quarterback last night wasn't miserable for half the game. Can we show Josh Allen's? This is not fancy stats. This is last night. Last night. Bills fans, you know how I know you know your quarterback is hit and miss? Because you're celebrating this. Well, Nick, that's 1 game. Okay, give me the last 2.5 months, please, if we would. Is it awful? No. Is it great? Of course not. In this stretch, the only player with as many sub-90 passer rating games is Carson Wentz. He doesn't play anymore. So, yeah, Josh Allen. Okay, if Josh Allen if we're only going to evaluate him on the first month of the season, the Niners game, and the second half last night, he's an MVP candidate. But if we're going to include the other, what would that be, 34 quarters of football, then I think he's got a ways to go. But that's just me, Brandon. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe they're going to give him $160 million. Bills going to the Super Bowl. I'm excited to see all of it.
You're definitely being unfair. Now, I know I just talked about on the defensive side, guys going down. I want to, correct the name there, Robert Spillane, not Spillane. But look, their scheme doesn't change, Nick. What you just talked about last week was, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they make every quarterback look like Carson Wentz. So now you want to take Josh Allen's game last night and talk about, he's not good enough. There's 3 reasons why we should consider them contenders. Defensively, they score. Defensively, they just got healthy at the linebacker position. Matt Millen's getting healthy at the right time. Second, offensively, they move the ball. No one moves. There's only one team that moves the ball better than them, and that's your guys, the Kansas City Chiefs. They can do it on a run game, in the passing game. And the last thing, you talked about it earlier. The coaches. I don't see either of these coordinators being on this staff next year. They're that good. That's their X factor. Brian Daboll and Leslie Frazier getting it done.
All right, we got to take a break and take a turn. We got to talk about Philadelphia now, where the quarterback question appears to have been answered, guys. Eagles and Saints, it's next. It's First Things First.